Senna and the Gap, written by B.B. Choi. 'Twas the year of 1990 for the former McLaren pair, and though Alain had since left the team, Ayrton was still there. And with the season almost done and the championship almost wrapped, Prost knew it could never be over with Senna on the track. And so they waited with bated breath as the red lights counted to 5, anticipating the moment their right foot would floor their engines to life. But we'll come back to this battle, to these men eager to settle a score. For the history of this battle stretches back to 1984. 'Twas a wet and slippery day, the 3rd of June that year, when a young and wild Senna fought through Monaco without fear. He's 9th, he's 7th, he just passed Nicky in his McLaren, the crowd shouted as he went around the outside. Such pace, such zeal, such daring. And just as he was about to win and take his victory walk, the race was over, for you see, the time was French o'clock. Moments just before Ayrton passed Alain through a gap, the crooks from FISA decided to end the race and roll the positions back. And though Senna had the pace to win, the end felt cold like bitter frost, for the goddamn French from FISA had given the win to Prost. But in the end it would not matter for either man involved, for Lauda won the championship that year, so the issue was momentarily resolved. But it sure must have stung young Senna, the year after Lauda won, for Prost took home his first championship, while a championship-less Senna looked on. So now, boys and girls, we come to the year 1988, and the first season these two would race together as teammates. And while Senna claimed they both would have good fun, it seemed bizarre that Prost would shoot back with,
Maybe we fight outside the car.
But teammates do as teammates will do, and they fought tough but fair. And after Senna won his first championship, it seemed respect was still there. But 1989, oh boy, what a season for the duo. They couldn't even keep the peace long enough to see the finish of round 2. For there was a gentleman's agreement, you see, agreed before the race, that whoever was ahead at the start would be allowed to set the pace. So when the lights went out, Senna zoomed to take the lead. But after an incident on track, another start was then in need. This time it was Prost who would be first to hit turn 1. And since he was ahead this time, he thought his day was done. But Senna thought to himself, surely, Alain has made a mistake. 'Twas I who led at the first start. 'Tis my victory to take. And so Senna sped up, shouted, excusez-moi, then out of sight. And boys and girls, it goes without saying, Prost lost some sleep that night. And after that troubling race, wins would be traded to and fro. Pretty soon it seemed the championship to one of the McLaren drivers it would go. But Senna fell behind, you see, courtesy of many DNFs. To keep his hopes alive, Senna would need many wins, starting with Jerez. And win at Spain he did indeed. A win at Suzuka would be a gift from heaven. And early on it seemed a sure thing, out-qualifying Prost by 1.7 seconds. But this would be as good as it gets. For Senna, the race would end in pain, for Prost decided to send it with all his might into the last chicane. Mon Dieu, the race is over, thought Prost as he hurried off in a rush. But Senna was still trying to get the marshals to help him with a push. But it would be to no avail, for we all know the end. Senna would not get this win either, for it struck French o'clock again. And so FISA stole another win and awarded it to Prost. And this time publicly there was no hiding, both men were obviously crossed. So after another championship season, Prost was gone, yes, he was certain. For Prost had publicly stated it becomes impossible to work with Ayrton. And so, boys and girls, that went a bit long and I am sorry. But we are finally back to 1990 with Prost now driving for Ferrari. And wins would be exchanged all season between these two in the heat of battle. And though behind going into Suzuka, Prost could not be rattled. But at Suzuka the turns had tabled, for 'twas Prost who needed to up the pace. A win was needed for his chances to keep in the championship race. But once again Senna would be the one to qualify in pole position, and Prost this time who hoped his race would not end in a collision. But the night before the race, you see, Senna was already on the attack, for he was arguing that he shouldn't have to start on the dirty side of the track. And bitch and moan he did all night to try and change the rules, but the stewards decided that they would not be made to look the fool, and so forced was Senna to start where the rules have plainly stated, and by the time the race was to begin his anger had not abated. So here we find ourselves again with 5 lights glowing red, and as they went off so did Prost, and soon he was ahead. And this is the moment, boys and girls, the moment two cars came together on track, the moment Senna decided he was going for the gap. The gap? I hear some of you say. There was no gap to see, for it would seem Senna just crashed intentionally. And therein lies the myth, you see, for the quote is just a lie. For in truth it was a dick move that Senna was trying to justify. For he was angry that the officials had decided to stand firm and not reassign the dirty side of the track to Prost and Senna the racing line. So there you have it, boys and girls, the story in its whole. The reason behind this crash: to pass was never his goal. And afterwards he gave a line about always going for a gap, but we all know that truthfully it was just a bunch of crap. And not some line of wisdom, some philosophy of life on track. It was just an excuse for crashing out Prost. This clip of Senna and the Gap.
And you should know that by being a racing driver, you are under risk all the time. And by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. Because we are competing to win. And the main motivation to all of us is to compete for a victory. It's not to come third, fourth, fifth, or sixth.
Hey guys, post-editing Benjamin here. So I just recently listened to Casey at the Bat and I was like mesmerized by it, and I figured I could probably do something stupid like that. So I apologize for some of these rhymes. I literally came up with the idea, wrote and then recorded everything and then edited it all together in like 2 or 3 hours. So some of the rhymes are not really top notch. So, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, or feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. And by no means am I disrespecting either driver. I'm a huge fan of both guys. Just wanted to do something stupid like this. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.